The rain poured heavily as a boy sat on the cold pavement, hugging his knees tightly to his chest. His clothes were drenched, his fingers trembling, but the storm outside was nothing compared to the storm raging inside him. He had nowhere to go, no one to call. Not long ago, his life was different. He had a loving home, or at least he thought he did. His father was strict, but provided for the family. His mother was gentle, always trying to protect him. But behind closed doors, he often heard their arguments. The tension at home grew unbearable. Then one day, everything shattered. His father walked out. No explanations. No guanbis. Just gone. His mother, devastated, changed overnight. The warmth in her eyes faded. The comforting arms that once held him became distant. She barely spoke, barely looked at him. He tried to help, cleaning the house, making meals, but nothing was ever enough. The loneliness was suffocating. One evening, as he set the table for dinner, she finally broke the silence. But her words cut deeper than any wound. "I can't do this anymore. I can't take care of you." His breath caught. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice shaking. She avoided his gaze. "I found someone. He doesn't want children." His world crumbled. "But I'm your son." She stood up, emotionless. "You'll understand when you're older." That night, she packed his things in a small bag and drove him to the edge of the city. She handed him a few bills and whispered, "Take care of yourself." Then she drove away. Now, he sat alone in the storm, his heart drowning in pain. The city streets were cruel. He wandered, looking for shelter, but every door remained closed. Hunger gnawed at his stomach, but he didn't beg. He still had his pride. Days passed, and the boy grew weaker. Hope faded, until one evening, when he sat near an old bakery, watching families pass by, a stranger approached. A man with kind eyes and a gentle voice. "Are you hungry?" The boy hesitated but nodded. The man handed him a warm loaf of bread. "Where's your family?" Tears welled in the boy's eyes, but he said nothing. The man sat beside him, silent, waiting. For the first time in days, the boy felt something strange, comfort. He didn't know why, but he wanted to trust this man. And so, for the first time, he spoke. He told his story, his pain, his fears. The man listened patiently. When the boy finished, expecting pity, the man instead smiled. "You're stronger than you think," he said. "Pain shapes us, but it doesn't define us. You can start again." The words hit deep. No one had ever told him that before. That night, the man took him to a shelter. He introduced him to people who cared. People who gave him food, clothes, and most importantly, hope. Years later, the boy, now a young man, stood in front of a group of lost children. He had become what he once needed, a guiding hand. He shared his story, looking into their tearful eyes. "You are not alone," he said. "No matter how dark it gets, there is always a way forward." As he walked out of the room, he looked up at the sky. The rain had stopped. The storm had passed. If you like the story, please like, share, and subscribe. And tell us in the comments which type of story you like the most. Your ideas help us create content that you enjoy.